Hello everyone, Dunamp here, and it's that time again. It's time to check out the two best and worst performing cartoon movies based off of a cartoon TV series. However, I have to apologize. I kind of messed up. You see, when I first started this series, I was going through a particular list from Box Office Mojo, and I didn't realize it until I started doing this review that a certain movie kind of slipped through the cracks. Now, I won't give it away, but if you watch further into this review, you might understand what movie that is. And you might actually understand why it slipped through the cracks. Now, I knew there were going to be a couple movies that were going to slip through the cracks, and a lot of ones that I found actually doesn't matter because it doesn't meet my criteria. Unfortunately, this movie that I'm talking about kind of changes the ranking a little bit. It's actually the 9th best performing movie in this category. So as I said before, it does change the ranking a little bit. It pushes the Wild Thornberrys movie down to number 10 and completely kicks out the Rugrats Go Wild. With that said, I'm not going to review the movie this time, so I want to apologize in advance, give you a heads up, and again, apologize for screwing that up. Before we get started, I publish content of questionable quality whenever. If you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. Or subscribe anyway, I'm not picky. You can keep up with me on social media or ring that bell to be notified when a new video comes out. With that said, let's do this thing. So, let's continue the countdown with the number 3 worst. Tom and Jerry the movie. While there is a lot of movies that I dreaded watching for this review series, the Tom and Jerry movie was the one I dreaded watching the most. I haven't even seen the movie before, and I dreaded watching it. That is how bad its reputation is. So now that I have watched it, does it live up to its reputation? Sadly, yes. Now, I've only heard whispers about this movie, and of course, the meme. So I kind of came into the Tom and Jerry movie with an open mind. I wasn't prepared for the worst, but I wasn't prepared for the best either. A few things came to mind when I first started watching it. First, why have we never gotten back to the animation quality of the old Tom and Jerry shorts? This is a theatrically released Tom and Jerry movie, for crying out loud. You'd think they do better than quality below the current Tom and Jerry TV series that was still on the air. That TV series being the Tom and Jerry Kids Show. And then there is the lack of slapstick. Sure, they had some at the beginning, which is the reason why Tom and Jerry are now on their own, but the minute the house is torn down, the slapstick stopped. In fact, the whole movie seemed to slow down at a snail's pace, up until the padding started. And when I say padding, I mean songs. Songs that don't really move the story along. We had the friendship song, which did nothing other than introduce 2 characters that disappear within a minute after the song was over. Yeah, you guys aren't needed. We have the Stray Cat song, which was recycled from a Garfield special. Yeah, that didn't have to be in there. Then we have the "Hey, we're villains, so here's our song." This all happened within the first 30 minutes of the movie, and they do not have to be here. And the most ironic thing is the movie never really started until like maybe 20 minutes into the movie, because that's when the plot begins. These songs were a waste of time that could have been used to show us the plight of Robin. Oh, that's right. The plot of the movie is an orphan girl whose guardian is mooching off of her life savings. Oh, and Tom and Jerry is in there too. Oh, but she might not be an orphan. We're going to have a King Richard return to take back the throne from Prince John scene at the end of this movie, aren't we? The problem is, Robin explained all of this within 2 minutes to Tom and Jerry. You know what makes a good movie? Show, not explain. Show, not explain. Show, not explain. Called development. All of that should have been acted out so we can get a feel of the relationship between Robin and her guardian. But nope. We wasted time on songs so we can have a soundtrack because
we've got to have money.
You knew it was coming. Don't act surprised. A lot of the songs can be cut out with the exception of... All of the songs can be cut out, really, with the exception of Captain Kitty's song, I guess, and maybe the Oscar bait song that's totally not supposed to be American Tales Somewhere Out There. But for some reason, we get pointless detours in this movie as well. Like the pet sanctuary that turns out to be a pound for kidnapped rich pets. Why was that there? Was it there so we can revisit the stupid dog Pugsy and Frankie Duffley? Sad fact of the matter is, yes. Yes, you do. And you know what? You can skip that whole scene because you would lose nothing. In fact, most of the cast in this film are just throwaway characters that, if they weren't in this movie, you would lose nothing. The important characters in this movie are Tom and Jerry, who are really just one character at this point, Robin, Christine Fig, Lickboot, really the name of the character, the father, and Captain Kidd. And maybe Droopy because that was the best joke in the movie. That is it. But do you want to know what the biggest problem about this movie is? The single thing that stopped this movie from being a Tom and Jerry movie. They talked. They went from being Tom and Jerry to characters who look like Tom and Jerry, but they talk, and they stopped doing slapstick. The minute Tom and Jerry started talking is the minute these two characters changed. And the sad fact of the matter is, they didn't need to talk. Like, at all. Tom and Jerry's thing has always been pantomime. They express everything they do with movement and motion. They can show their emotions with the looks on their faces. The movie could have been better if they stuck with that, because the talking contributed nothing to this film. I can't remember any instance of this film where the characters benefited from Tom and Jerry talking. Seriously, mute all the parts where these two talk, and you can still get what is going on in this movie. The characters were dumbed down. Hell, this whole film was dumbed down. Which is sad because the kids and people watching this movie grew up on Tom and Jerry, which really isn't talking to kids, but the kids understand what is happening without the characters talking in those shorts and cartoons. Even Tom and Jerry kids knew not to do that. So why is this the third worst performing? Well, it was up against stiff competition. On July 30th, 1993, it opened with Robin Hood, Men in Tights, and So I Married an Axe Murderer. And before that, Free Willy came out. And afterwards you had The Fugitive. Tom and Jerry the movie really did come out at the worst time. So on top of that, and how bad it was, no wonder the Tom and Jerry movie flopped.
Hello, all you happy people.
It's alive!
Honorable mentions. Shaun the Sheep the movie. If there is one movie in this video series that I'm going into completely blind, it's Shaun the Sheep. Sure, I've heard of it, but I've never seen anything from the series. Well, other than Wallace and Gromit's A Close Shave. Now, did I need to see the series first in order to understand this movie? Nope. This movie can easily be its own thing because it takes its time to let us know who these characters are. From Shaun to Bitzer to the farmer and the rest of the flock. And the best part is, the whole movie is done in pantomime. Outside of the Sims dialogue that the people make at times, there is no talking in this movie. Well, there is the music because they wanted to make a soundtrack because
We've got to have money.
you know what's funny? I didn't plan this. I did not plan on reviewing both the Tom and Jerry movie and Shaun the Sheep at the same time, or that I was even going to compare the two. I didn't know that there wasn't any dialogue in Shaun the Sheep, so I'm going to have to say Shaun the Sheep is what the Tom and Jerry movie should have been. No talking. No kid that needs rescued. No villains after money or unnecessary subplots. Just a road trip movie with Shaun, Bitzer, and the flock. And it's all to find the farmer in the big city and get back home. And you understand what is happening fully by their movements and facial expressions. The gags in this movie are spot on. The cityscape looks amazing. And you care about these characters. This is a movie that proves you do not need a big name actor to be in an animated film. The real stars of this movie is the entire production crew. It is movies like this that makes me excited for anything Aardman Animation does, because what they do is top quality. Unfortunately, Shaun the Sheep, the movie, didn't crack the top 10 best performing. It's middle ground. But what was the film up against? Fan 4 Stick. Yep. Now, can you guess which out of the two movies was nominated for an Academy Award? It's the one with the non-talking sheep. Guess which one is getting a sequel? It's the one with the non-talking sheep. So yeah, Shaun the Sheep is definitely on my recommendation list. Hey guys, thanks for getting this far into the video. We are not done yet. If you like what you see so far, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. I also want to thank my Patreons for their support of content of questionable quality. With that said, let's continue on. The number 3 best performing, the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. Here's a fun fact, I watched SpongeBob until 2004, and then I lost access to Nickelodeon. 10 years later, I would watch the series for the first time and, wow! Has SpongeBob always been mean-spirited? Wait a minute! That's not a fun fact! That's not a fun fact at all! That's just background information that only my grandmother wants to hear. And the only reason why that is because I'm paying attention to her. I had my reservations about Sponge Out of Water because of my impressions of the later SpongeBob series. So were my worries justified? Happily? No. Was this better than the first SpongeBob movie? Sadly, no. In the first movie, SpongeBob struggles to prove that he is not what everyone sees him as. There is personal conflict. You don't get that here. Sad to say, SpongeBob Out of Water feels like an average SpongeBob episode. That is, with the exception of the live action scenes. Burger Beard the Pirate is the best part of this movie. From his quest for the book, to his interactions with the seagulls, to his conflict with the SpongeBob gang. Even when the SpongeBob gang hits dry land, the movie becomes so fun. And that is the problem with this movie. It spends 2/3 of the movie getting Plankton to see the value of teamwork and trying to get the Krabby Patty formula back. By the way, how many people realize that the whole time-traveling subplot accomplished nothing? With the exception of Bubbles the Dolphin, it really wasn't needed. In fact, the parts between the Krabby Patty formula disappearing up to SpongeBob about to be executed all could have been cut out. Again, with the exception of Bubbles the Dolphin. With that said, it's still an enjoyable movie. Sure, most of the plot never goes anywhere, but it's still fun to watch. I do miss the songs that were in the first movie though. Now, the main issue I have with this movie. This movie has a lot of surprising twists and turns, and a surprise villain, kind of. Well, it was supposed to anyway, but the marketing screwed that up big time. Important surprise plot points, including the Deus Ex Machina, were completely revealed in the movie's trailers. The fact that Burger Beard, the mysterious pirate, wasn't revealed to be the villain until the last third of the movie was already outed by the trailers as well. If I was a producer, writer, or had any involvement making this film, I would have been pissed at Paramount's marketing team. How could they not see that revealing all of this could have been a problem? Don't give away surprise plot points. You'll ruin the surprise. So, the third best performing. What was it up against? On February 2nd, 2016, it was up against Jupiter Ascending and Seventh Son. Well, at least I heard of Jupiter Ascending. I'm not even sure what Seventh Son is. Oh, but 50 Shades of Grey came out the next weekend. That might explain all the leather in this movie. At least SpongeBob the movie Sponge Out of Water held its ground against 50 Shades of Grey. And hopefully I ruined this movie for you, connecting the two movies together. If not, at least I can say I tried.
You better keep reading, Mr. Pirate, or else.
Man, this is way overdue.